discussion on them? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries.
Hey Jared, we need to make a correction
Okay,
on those
was that the
limits.
barn owl?
Yes,
You can't now,
No.
but that's when you discuss, that's when you do it, what's up with the barn owl?
well, I'm pretty sure Justin emailed you about those.
Yeah, it is. But that's just the agreement between the state and how much. We knew what the cost was, the cost didn't change.
Right.
It's how much the state paid us, so that won't matter.
It's mattering to finance is where it matters.
So let's hit it,
Because the minutes say that, that the RMA is gonna cover all of them, and the RMA is not covering all of them.
Which we wouldn't have known that till this meeting anyways, so he can bring it up under his commissioner's report. Is everybody fine with that?
Yeah.
If there's a change, and he can bring it up under the commissioner's report, we'll change it then.
that's better.
Any public comment?
I was wondering if I could find out what the total tonnage for the blacktop plant is for the year, when you get time, like the next meeting or something.
You can get that to Don on that?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd like the public
okay,
in minutes.
okay. I guess we'll just put that on next month's agenda.
Looks like we stuck a bunch of money into it again, and if it's doing so good, why are we getting rid of the operator? Curious.
Discussion. We'll have it on next month's agenda. Any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to just.
Thank you.
Yep, discussion possible motion, general business. Approval of tri-axle trucks and snowplow fitting. I guess,
Okay, alright, so I'll let you guys look over, see. You're good, we can talk about it.
Would you find out anything more? That's kind of, my intent was why we let it go another month, so we
Yeah,
could look it over further.
That's why we brought it back, we wanna wait for the budget to be finalized to make our decision, see what, everything's set in stone there for the budget, so, that's why we brought it back, cause the budget, what we can handle this. So our plan, last time was the pick was ice days, the trucks we could have, January, February range. And then we could ship them off and get them on the list faster for the fitting of snowplow accessories.
so they're both coming out of the equipment fund, it looks like, right?
Correct. Equipment fund and then some of the bond funds we got.
I thought, how much bond fund was there?
$380,000.
That ended up in 380, the highway? Okay.
So are we going with I-State or River State then?
I-State would get us a truck faster than River States. It's only $2,050 roughly difference, $60.
So what's the time frame that they would consider?
When we let them know, they would put the order in and they would build it for us, so. It all depends, it could be 2 months, it could be 6 months, it could be 8 months.
Number 3, 9 years.
Yep.
What's the majority of our fleet now, Scott?
The new ones are Westerns, yes.
the river states are showing no pusher, okay, with and without a pusher axle, so the I-States have a pusher or no?
They do not, Snowplow company fits the pusher on for us. Being these ones are gonna have an underbelly on it, they're gonna have to make the whole, the mounting hole is universal for the underbelly and the tag, so it's on and off.
We're road setting our trucks up right now, right?
Correct.
I guess the big question is, do you need any other equipment next year?
We always need equipment, but this is kinda where we need to start.
Cause this is gonna pretty well deplete you, correct?
It'll bring it down. We'll have, by the end of next year, we should, we figured 500,000 back in there by the end of next year. We're about 500,000 is what we have accumulated back in there by the end of next year. We're talking with Bill, there's other stuff we're looking at, but this is kind of the area we need to touch more on. Sure.
Is there a motion to go with I-State Monroe?
Just wait. You got a comment? Is there any other reason that you don't want Freightliner other than price?
And the weight. The weight, we can get the Western started a lot quicker.
I was just wondering because I used to drive Freightliner all the way to LA, you know, every week and stuff, and the new engine, this was in 1990 though. And the new engine they had out at that time was made to lug down, especially coming out of LA. You got 13 miles of almost straight up, and whatever gear you have it in, that's the gear you leave it in, going up the hill, and no problem. But that engine, and I don't remember what the engine was, but that was made to lug, and I was just thinking of the snowplows, you know, that sometimes they get grinding pretty hard there, and if, you know, they have to shift down too, and where's that, you know, whatever year you're in, that's what you're saying.
Both these trucks have the same engine.
They do.
DD 13?
Correct. Freightliner and Western Star, they're running the same engine.
Okay.
DD 13, DD 15.
Yeah, we got a
The one he's talking about is 60 series back in the day.
The Western Stars, as Justin mentioned, that we kinda have those on reserve right now too, and it's, it could, I mean, the trucks are so damn hard to get right now, it's, if you don't go with those, I think that could be another 6 months or 8 months away actually, so that's one big recommendation here, based on those being set up right now to go to us here in West County, that, that's a big factor here right now with trucks, cause it's still really difficult to get trucks, and the delay might be quite a bit longer actually, if you don't go with those.
This would give us, what, 6 Western Stars then?
seven right now, with the 2 coming, and this would give us 9, if we get these 2.
So all of our stuff is similar to the same, so you're not buying.
It's all
stuff.
interchangeable, everything's the same. If you keep your overhead down, all in your, start switching up to international freight, or, Peterbilt.
Just more stock to get
Yeah.
on the shelves.
Correct.
I was just at one of our township meetings here, times that, we still haven't got part of the truck, now it's 2 years.
Any more discussion on it? I entertain a motion to approve Monroe and I-State.
Which one?
You got,
Monroe to set up the box and the plow, and I-State for the trucks.
Yeah, but there's 2 I-States.
the first one.
First one.
Thank you.
We're going up bottom one times 2.
I'll second.
Justin, on the sheet, now I've seen it, it says the I-State, you know, on the top, 305, and at the bottom is 354. It says options. Which one are we gonna be going with that? You guys see that?
I do. Funny about how it differs from interstate.
What would you say, Al?
Yeah, you got the two, on top says truck bids, at the bottom it says truck summary. The numbers don't match up. You know, 354, 313 at the bottom, on the options.
So that would be per truck with setup.
Oh, with everything.
Correct. That
Okay.
per truck setup,
That's with I-State and rural put together.
correct.
Okay.
That makes sense now.
Yeah, per truck.
So it's 354, 313 per truck.
Correct.
Set up.
Yes.
Okay. Al made a motion, and Jim, you seconded it? John did? Any more discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Next, we have the contract with current professional services for 2025. Do you want a minute to read it, or?
See, it'll be coming up every other weekend, is that what I'm saying, every other week, is that what I'm understanding?
That's how the contract reads, I've been actually coming up right now every week, it's in the news right now, so sometimes twice, sometimes twice a week.
Isn't that funny?
I wish.
Okay.
We have this budgeted for 25 or no?
Nope.
Okay, so where is it gonna come from?
Admin, some of it will come from the RMA, we've gotten approval to, bill some of it to the RMA.
With a percentage?
It all depends on the consulting services and
talked last week again, and, it's over, like, what, 37, 38% of it right now.
Is there a motion to approve?
So,
No second.
Any more discussion on it?
What budget? I wanna make sure,
You come out of admin, right?
I put from RMA admin budget for 2025, are you good with that?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Next, we have the approval of El Risk County D cost difference.
So the difference comes from your base course inch and a quarter and the 3/4 shouldering, with a little more tonnage than quoted. The difference is $6,859.11. $6,859.11. To the reimbursement, half of that gets reimbursed.
Did you talk to him about that shouldering, that concern I had brought to me?
I guess they went and looked at it, right?
Yep.
Was the individual correct, or?
And he said it seemed fine, and a little bit higher road, so just the way the road come off there, what he told me was it looked more so like they were concerned about how they were gonna mow it, because it's just a little higher, no rock on the edge of the road.
Concern brought to me that they felt that it was high and part of the gravel this winter was gonna end up out in just getting blown out the ditch.
He said it looked like every other road that we have done.
I don't know, I was down it once since it was done, but I didn't look that close, you know, I
That's
don't
fine.
look.
I'm
But-
just giving you what he went
Yeah.
down and he assessed, he said it looks like every other road come over his shoulder, it's just, you know, your gravel's gonna compact, that's gonna taper off anyways.
Cause it came up last Monday at the town board meeting. I said, I won't pass it along.
Yep, we went down and looked at it, looked like everything else.
Okay. Well, there's something to get back to them to ask me again.
I think it's like Justin said, a lot of the people that were able to mow up to the shoulder before, now that they raised the road.
It was all nice and leveled off before, where now there's probably, it's higher.
Yeah.
I think,
It went 9 inches
that makes
total.
sense with what I was told.
Yeah, it went 9 inches total.
So now it's high and, okay.
They can't mow it like they were
Five
mowing
inch
it.
gravel, 4 inch mat, so 9 inches roughly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know.
Where's this money gonna come from then?
We struck on, bonds.
Yep, bond funds. And like Justin said, half of it will be reimbursed through the
Yeah.
Albert.
Is there a motion to approve? Alex seconded, any more discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Do you have out of county travel?
So I'm gonna pass something out for you guys, talking to Curry County Commissioner, they're doing something coming up here this month. And he invited us to come out, and I also talked to him, and you guys, as committee members, would be allowed to come and see how they run this. They invite their towns, their cities, their villages, everybody to kind of an open house. They do donuts, and they do a catered lunch, kind of just to bring everybody in and show what they can offer. And that way, maybe we could help ourselves someday in the future in mending our search situation. So,
Yes, please.
So we're looking at sending the foreman's to this, and then we can get an idea of what they do. You know, this isn't just them, Jefferson County does this as well. They bring their whole county in and they discuss and kind of present and talk over things that maybe need to be addressed. Oh, everything's one, 4 people. There will be no charges besides truck because there's food supply.
No, you can't have.
Sorry, Dan.
If I'm right though, that's the 6 to 20 foot bridge program, that's a new program where before it wasn't state funded, right? Now they're trying to get it funded?
Yeah, so that's, we're in the inventory process, so they're gonna go through and discuss with their townships or whoever they've done the inventory for, what the status of how it's going. So the 6 to 20 right now, they're gonna go over it, how it works, it's gonna be entered into the state, and then next year, all these 6 to 20s be inspected, so they're just gonna talk over that stuff too.
Cause before we only had to have the 20 foot bigger bridge.
Correct, yep, which we have reports on those, we'll get to that in the report.
Motion to approve the.
Who's gonna give this talk on the inspection program, do you know? Just a state thing, or just
No,
Barron
no.
County?
Just Barron County.
Well, if they're gonna get something out of it, fine, but I'm beginning to wonder how much they're gonna get out of this going to it for the day.
This is for us to see how they try to bring their towns in and communicate with them to try to get them to, not trying to keep them doing work for Barron County, doing work for the townships and their villages and stuff. This is maybe for us to see how we could do this.
We ever done something like that ever?
Not that I'm aware of.
I like the concept, I like the idea. I think the county's out of touch with their townships.
Well, I'm fine with Foreman going, and Foremans are the ones that are gonna initiate this later on.
I'll make a motion to approve for it.
Any more discussion on it? We're gonna, hopefully they can get something out of this, we can try to do something like this in the spring or something.
Correct, something in the spring or even something at least next year at least.
Any more discussion on it? Hear none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carries. Next we have the highway commissioner's report.
Alright, so start out with another bridge, rated down to 30 ton, it's half of its load rating, right by the Flagler School, County P. Your town, correct, I'm pretty sure, right there by County P. So that's another bridge we're gonna have to try and get the program next fall when the program comes out. So that's 3 that the county has that are under their sufficiency, 50% or less, this one's right at 50%. One on E, I don't remember the rating, but it's down to 15, and one on H is at 25. So we can't those bridges. Just touch base on the roof for the highway department, when we went to property and they passed up to 40,000 max, and it's in the contract that they don't go over 40,000 without an approval for the roof, for the repairs in the highway department and, patrol sheds.
They'll get to it pretty soon, you think?
Yeah, they told me when I called and told them, signed the agreement and stuff, it was 4 weeks still. So, the initial signing, which is sent off the next day, it was 4 weeks from there, that they were gonna come and do some work. We finished up our crack sealing on the state there last week, Thursday. and then we jumped to County G, we did some there too, county maintenance, and now we're in the village of Ingram, doing some there today. Depending on the weather, we're probably done crack sealing, but it depends on the weather, looks like it's gonna change, and we're gonna move straight to brushing and chipping the roadsides, vegetation. And we have a couple mowers out, one on the county, and then one in the state to, use up our state money. Let's see. Gravel pits, I think it was pulled out of the W pit there, they're done crushing up there. We're finishing up inventory on our piles, so we can get them done for the year. They just need to finish measuring the one up there on the W that just got crushed, so it should be done crushing for the year. That was for the forestry department, that pile that was crushed. Nothing new on that, right? Alright, nothing new on them, and that's what I got for the report.
Any questions for Justin on his report? Here, none, we'll move into the consultant's report.
Sure. Alright.
Yep. Pass around a summary, probably a little more detail on this, I'm not gonna go into a lot actually on it, I just wanted to give you guys an idea of this, in the first month or so, I've been working with Justin in the highway department, the areas, we've kind of been somewhat all encompassing to try to kind of learn a little bit about everything in your operations here. And definitely wanted to start highlighting after the first few weeks, looking at funding, things on funding, to make sure we're not missing something with all the turnover in staff at the highway department in the last 6 months or a year here. So we kind of highlighted some things at the top there with the CHIP program, which you guys are pretty familiar with, and some of you guys are probably town chairman or town supervisors in the room. And one thing we caught early on, I'm just gonna connect quick, is that some of the projects aren't necessarily matching up real well with the funding reimbursement. Some of the projects we did this year, coming up quite short actually on the funding reimbursement side of it. So we're doing a little scrambling now because we don't wanna lose funding for you guys here at the highway department, so just I've been looking at this here the last week or so, that on one of the projects they substituted for the culvert on County I, came up quite short. The problem with that is the fact that the sunset date is next year actually on that funding. So even though we can look at the potential of transferring it, which we're talking about now, the project has to be all done and complete and billed and applied for by June 30th of next year. So otherwise you could lose, 60, 70 grand on funding reimbursement. So we're looking at that right now, trying to figure out if we can actually readjust some projects next year and transfer money and see what we can do to recapture that. So really, again, been somewhat all encompassing, looking at the state DOT reimbursements too, to make sure we're not missing out on any funding there, and a few things we're kind of catching. And again, with all the transition of staffing at the highway department, maybe we're coming up a little short on some billing there in certain areas with the DOT. So, and I'm still right now, Justin and Sky have been awesome to work with. They've been super helpful actually on trying to look at everything here in the last several weeks. And so again, just kind of give you guys an overview. It's been a lot here. I probably wouldn't, give you this much detail in the future, but I just want to say we've been hitting on a lot of things here almost every time I've been in, looking at just the whole program and what you're doing with equipment and projects and work. And so I'll jump down to the bottom of the 3 months that we're looking at right now. Justin and I started talking last week about a 3-month window here right now before we actually get to go out to bids for next year's projects and work. And again, because of some of these funding issues with the CHIP program, we're spending some time looking at that right now, because we have a window here to try to make some adjustments and rearrange some things, and we've got to kind of hit that window as far as what we're doing for next year, to make sure if we have to adjust something, we do it to recapture some funding, if we can actually do it and fit it in. So over the next 3 months, that's one of the priorities, is try to really look at the work plan, look at the projects, and see if we have to readjust some things here. And I just want to give you guys a heads up on that, because again, we maybe come back and talk about that and say, hey, the way we laid it out for next year might have to change here based on trying to capture some different additional funding and the work programs here. So that's kind of an overview for you guys to look through. And then I got one other thing. I'm gonna just give you a preview here on something I'm working on right now. One of the things I kind of promised you guys is I'm gonna take a really hard look at the equipment operations of the department. And this is kind of the first step. What I wanna do is take it and summarize and simplify all the equipment, and then look at where we're sitting right now with all the equipment. So I'm not looking at, trying to do a thing on, I guess I gotta take a different approach to it, so I guess I'll explain through when you guys have a copy of this. If you look at the first page, everything on the first page is your plow equipments and plow trucks. So it actually has your trucks and all your plow equipment all put together in one line item there. So you look at your single axles on the top, and you look at your tri-axles and quad axles on the bottom. So it kinda puts everything together for where you're at right now with your cost and your book value towards the end of the year here. And what I do is I put this together as a summary of all your equipment in your operations, and then start looking at a turnover plan for you guys. And part of that is, I start developing, if you're beyond what I think is a normal turnover life, you're actually gonna be kicked into kind of a backlog, actually. And so if you look at the first page, that's all your plow trucks and plow equipment, and why, again, based on the age of your plow trucks right now, why, the emphasis right now is to get some of these plow trucks turned over, because we're seeing a lot of trucks that are obviously that 17, 18, 20, or 20-year-old age, which is well above what a normal turnover age is for equipment. That's why you're seeing all the problems with some of the trucks. So if you flip to the second page, again, these first three pages are gonna be all your primary equipment. So second page is your small truck fleet on the top, your specialized truck fleet, and then your asphalt plant or pit equipment. So that's kind of page 2, and gives you a good look at actually where you sit right now with your vehicles. You're gonna see a lot of that orange. That orange is all the things that are what I consider backlog, that are beyond normal service lives of turning over pieces of equipment. So you'll see a lot of equipment there that actually is falling in that range, and you'll see your whole fleet. So that's a quick summary there. Page 3 is gonna give you all your heavy equipment, so your loaders, dozers, backhoes, graders, pavers, rollers, mowing tractors. So again, all that primary equipment. So these first 3 pages puts everything on one summary of all your primary equipment, your trucks, and all your primary construction equipment. Again, you'll see a lot of orange again, those are the backlogs. Next page is just more kind of support equipment. This is not drivable equipment. This is your kind of your primary and support equipment and trailers. If you look at some of that stuff, like your crack seal equipment, trailers, patch machines, mostly the trailer type pieces of equipment. And then on the last page, I'm taking all of it actually and giving you guys a look at what I consider your backlog right now for. Because really what I'm doing is creating a turnover plan. When you create a turnover plan, you have so many things that are backlogged for replacement. You have a massive backlog, obviously, and you guys know that. You know how much old equipment you have in your fleet. And you look at this and it just stands out. You got almost a $9 million backlog, and we could play around with some of these dates and say, well, that turnover should be 13 years instead of 12 years, or your small truck should be 8 years or 10 years instead of 6 or 7 or 8 years. It's not gonna change your numbers that much. It's gonna make a little minor adjustment, but it kind of gives you a look at where you're sitting right now. And I guess I developed this as my first piece of actually looking at developing an equipment plan, which I talked to you guys about when I first came here to present on some of the things I actually do. And this is the first piece of just giving you the numbers. So these are the numbers on where you sit right now. And part of what we do now is we'll start working with Justin, we'll start looking at utilization of equipment, we'll start looking at our operations, what we're doing with our equipment. And the whole goal is, when you see that huge backlog and you see the note at the bottom, and as I've told you before, you're only creating $280,000 in your equipment operations per year. That's it. So it's kind of a massive difference of what you're creating for funds and where you're sitting right now for your backlog of your equipment and your that you have in your fleet right now. Is that a problem? Yes. Is it something we're gonna start working on immediately? Yes. And so that's, again, one of the reasons I'm gonna start digging in now as far as what we can do here now with the equipment, how we can actually get those numbers at the bottom raised up. So part of the operation stuff we're looking at is gonna try to, let's get that operation of equipment where we're actually creating more funds. That's the first part of this, is that we drive that number up to creating $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year. That's one of the things I wanna start driving right away as we kind of go into next year. And it's gonna take it'll take a little pain here and there to do that, but it's part of the things I wanna do. But we also gotta start looking at just the problem here is, we need to replace equipment, but we gotta figure out how we can start working on the problem here, and it's piece by piece, but it's gonna be prioritizing. And so we talked about buying the trucks right now. When you look at the backlogs, all you gotta do is go on these sheets right now, and you'll see, obviously, in that area right now, yeah, you're talking about a $4 million backlog just in plow trucks. So that's just a massive backlog just on the plow truck side. So So again, Justin and I are gonna work on this here the next several months, one thing we'll do is start reprioritizing now, we'll look at the utilization, we'll start looking at prioritizing and, what we can do going forward, so it's gonna be pretty important that we try to get in the right things, revise stuff, that we're actually doing the right things that make sense for the operations and get the numbers up, but, I wanted to give you guys the first look, and this is just a first look at a bigger equipment plan I'm actually developed for you guys, and this is the first look at kind of just looking at that backlog, the turnover. We'll start creating a turnover now, modified turnover is what I call it now, because of the age of the stuff, and we'll start working on the priorities, but again, I just wanna hit on a couple things. Number one is, I've been super impressed by the staff at the highway department, being here so far, and again, Justin's been great to work with, Sky's been super helpful, and every time I ask for anything with equipment or data or county stuff, he's been awesome, Gene's been awesome there, everybody I've met there has been really, really helpful and good, so it's been a pleasure actually so far to get working on this, but, I appreciate you guys, giving me this opportunity, and again, I'm gonna work hard for you guys and try to do whatever I can do here to try to get some things going in the right direction, to the operations, so. If you guys have any questions, I'm open to any questions that you guys have.
What's your thoughts on the importance of, filling those two positions we have out there right now that are open? Operations manager and highway commissioner.
Eventually they gotta be filled, and you need staffing, so I'm down to what point I mean, I know you guys advertised for a while and then didn't get, the full-time commissioner position filled, and so I think eventually you gotta do it. Part of the problems with some of the issues is you've been turning so many staff over between commissioners and interim commissioners, that's when you start losing, and you'll start, missing out, because you got applications filled out for projects that those people aren't even here anymore, and you start looking at the funding, not matching up, and I don't know, part of that is, some of the applications weren't done, I don't think properly, really, or the estimates weren't done properly, it's not matching up to the program, but that's part of that inconsistency in funding, and people coming in and out too, so. It has nothing to do with the existing staff or not at all, it has to do with applications being filled out 10 months ago or 12 months ago, or other staff, doesn't matter, they match up really good, and some don't match up to the program, what we're trying to actually do here right now, so.
So, Ashley, we discussed this in personnel the other day, so right now it's not posted at all, correct?
Yeah, I think at Jerry's direction, right?
I don't think we can do anything about it now, but I think we need to hire a company and try to find us a commissioner. A staffing company or whatever, I think we gotta go to the next step here. That's just, I mean, we can't act on it, it's not on this agenda, but somehow we gotta move the ball here for at least a commissioner. It's been going on forever.
Yeah,
So I don't know what we gotta go about going forward to do that, but.
I think I took it off a week ago. Better take it off. It was one applicant, it was the same one we've had applying every time we posted it.
Right, but I'm saying maybe we hire a company that this is what they do, is find the right person and head under company and be done with it, cause. I mean, what we're gonna spend in that, we could, by the sounds of it today, we could lose twice that. Just in funding. Maybe 3 times.
We could put it on next month's agenda, but
I don't know where it's gotta go next. It's gotta start here, or where, Ashley? Does it start here, where's it gotta go?
I'd recommend it start here and then be forwarded to personnel.
So there's another whole month, but we gotta get something. I mean, it is what it
It
is,
is
I
what
know.
it is, right?
Right, I'm not blaming nobody, but I'm just saying we,
Could at Jerry's request, if you wanted to bypass the highway committee, you could put it on
Personnel
at your request, since you're the highway committee.
that's not gonna change. Well, yeah, that would change a whole nother month, cause personnel meets before highway.
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to Jerry, but. I don't know, that's my thought, nobody's got to agree with me, but I think we need to, my personal opinion, we gotta move this along somehow.
I think a lot of it is the wage.
And maybe they'll come back and tell us that.
And then I did kinda go over the description. I think the state statute says you gotta have so much experience in highway, you could be, approved for the commissioner. And we were reading it with Ashley, and half these people that are applying don't even have no experience in our highway department at all, or even road construction. They were either, IT or, I mean, it's.
Did you look at the wage for highway commissioner at all? Have you gotten that far, where we're at with that? Are we anywhere for where we live?
Up here, they vary quite a bit up here. I'd have to look more around up here, what I see up here, but it's, I don't know, I've seen up and down, up in as far as wages, so not quite sure about what that is somewhere else.
Yeah. Cause we can't go on forever adjusting on it, I mean, trying to do the shop and operations, and I don't think he wants that either.
There's no security. That's my concern, is security in this place, but job wise.
What do you mean by security?
Commissioner security job. So if there's, just go back to the shop and have my job security and do my work. You know what I mean?
I just meant you're getting everything dumped on you,
Oh,
and I'm glad you're stepping up to it, but I don't think that was your original.
was to help, which I'm still willing to help.
Right,
So, I
right.
mean, we gotta work together as a county, a department, we gotta get things better. We took a good step forward with Bill, I mean, he's been great, so.
Does anybody have anything else for Bill? Yes, sir, you gotta go back to the commissioner's report. About the barn oil.
What's that?
Oh, the barn owl.
Oh.
Put in the financial report.
So the county will pay for 2,178, and the state will reimburse 1,672. From the farm.
Never come out of equipment.
Equipment?
No,
No,
You want it out of
winter maintenance, right?
it's coming out of winter maintenance.
Is there a motion to approve that? Yeah, who's on that?
Do we need one?
Yes.
We need for finance tomorrow.
Finance.
First option, I think. Good. Alec made the motion, is there a second?
What's the motion?
To approve basically how we're gonna pay for it, we didn't know last month how much the state was gonna pay out.
So it's not reimbursed by RMA, will come out of the winter maintenance budget?
Yes.
Alright, I'll second that.
Any more discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Next we have the safety report.
So we had our internal safety meeting. We had 7 individuals in there, we discussed the old business. The grader insurance claim, we just gotta pick the parts up, put the grader back together. And it's still not functional, but we need to get the new parts replaced on it. Talked about them plow trucks coming, I did reach out to them, I know they did talk as if December, they were still showing up in December. Bathroom fan, you guys love that, it's way better in the break room when you're eating food. And then keeping safety simple, that's on the next page, yeah. Talked about the floor drain, there's issues there, the pipe that comes from the floor to the drain is actually broken, we're gonna temporarily fix it for the winter time, and in the spring, we're gonna hammer a little bit of concrete out and repair the drain so the line can quit plugging with sand. We talked about inventorying parts that are not on inventory in that search unit we got. And how about we do that? Also about truck maintenance, we talked, about taking care of the equipment better, cleaning, some grease. I had ordered some neutralizer, we're gonna try that, see what that does or how that helps to neutralize the salt. They're gonna be addressed to spray that in the frame rails after they wash to prolong some of this equipment. Any questions on that? And then, Dustin, keeping, safety simple. We're updating our flow beats, we have some retires, and we have some moves of individuals to beats, so we're gonna update that. Keeping safety, the next scheduled date will be 12/12 for keeping safety simple, sorry about that. Obviously, purchasing two new plow trucks we're taking to you guys, which we went through. We pushed on the reflective vest in the winter time when they got sweatshirts and jackets on. And then we set a tentative date for the next meeting.
Any questions on the safety report? Hearing none, we'll move on to financial report.
Alright, on the estimated financials sheet, you'll see on our road projects, kinda where we landed for the end of the year, except, on D, we are missing the Haas bill that you just approved the overage on, so we'll have that added there. And then the I culvert replacement also has, a Haas bill of like 88,000 as well. You have the updated blacktop plant, repairs there as of the end of October, and the updated fund balances for the equipment, and the blacktop plant as of September. Winter maintenance has changed. I don't think it's changed. It's gonna start changing slightly. Our on-call we're switching to winter maintenance, now that we're, kinda going into the winter season. But knock on wood, so far, we really haven't had anything going on. We have the reports of all of our equipment, expenses through October. Do you have any questions on that? And then, our budget transfer sheets for September, gives you an idea of, the expenses that we had for September and where our, budgets, line items sit for the end of September. And then our accounts receivable aging, is looking pretty good. We do have some items that are at the over 60, but, they're township related, we're not too worried about those. Most of that is just, timing, of our billings going out versus their meeting dates. We're usually crossing in the mail there, and so, it takes a little bit longer for us to get paid because they have to wait until their next meeting to adjust that. We do have that one damage claim that's sitting out there, but, that is, going to be a restitution type thing, so that's sitting with the VA's office, but I don't really know when that'll be recovered, so, any questions on any of the financials?
announcements. Next, we'll move into, approval of payment of highway invoices. What's the town and village bridge inspections, must be profile?
Yeah, that's the bridges over 20 feet, so that they're going to reimburse us when we get the bill.
Will the town
That's
do it?
Yep.
We built that out, just this last week.
So they went around and did all the town,
The whole county. The whole county.
That's that company we approved.
KVI is correct.
a lot of that will come back.
Yeah, that line that you see is like 19,000 something, that'll all come back, yeah.
So the 39 bridges, 47, that must be just county ones?
Yep.
Quad truck, right?
That was for the LRD. We use the trucks for hauling material.
What's the 6,702 yards of crushed recycled asphalt?
That's what it costs for us to have our recycled asphalt crushed. That's how many yards that we had crushed.
Oh yeah, PGA, I can't remember that one.
PGA,
Yeah, PJ.
yeah, well, that was,
That was this summer, that we approved.
That was the one out of Wausau or something, wasn't it, where they over east?
Yeah,
That was-
Medford or something maybe?
So that was what, half inch minus?
that sounds about right.
Yeah, for the,
For the
Black
recycled
recycle?
asphalt.
Yeah, nobody else can crush it except for. Yeah.
dump on it, I gotta ask, what's the Packer Mason insurance for?
DNR project.
Okay,
Water sample.
I thought that was just like a side gig.
I'm just like, this is a boo-boo or what, but okay. I mean, it's a whopping $16, but.
They're exploring other options, you know.
I,
MITA now, like, it's not too far. Extra revenue.
for the class, I'm like, I just, anything we did with the break.
It's not at home where you're using the store nuts and bolts.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second. Any more discussion on them? Need a minute yet.
I was just gonna ask about the squeakies.
Yep.
I know it seems senseless too, but what are they for?
For, when they're running the excavator, the loaders, you wanna get material on there, they dump the squeak in, swipe them out, swipe the windshield, clean it off better. Side windows, back windows, whichever ones don't have a wiper.
Go on. Only because I know I use squeakies on a daily basis.
On good information.
You can buy a pack of 50 and just change the sleeves in. So, check it out. Not cheap. That's all I had.
All in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
Alright,
Opposed, carried. Set date for next highway committee meeting. Sixteen.
What?
December 16th.
works for me.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
We're adjourned.
Elliott's.
Right?
No, I haven't. Sound good? That's a good one.
I've got 2 packs. Cause I usually cut mine down that, that wide for barn stuff, but they come this long.
Well, it would be better if some of the guys also use it in the public, you know, the wiper.
Yeah, you can get reverse grader.